Welcome to the BS3 Radio YouTube channel. Each and every week we talk about a new topic. Today's topic, we're talking about the top 5 Major League Baseball players, but also we're going to talk about, will the Major League Baseball season even finish? So we're going to talk about that too, and potential Major League Baseball playoff teams if it gets that far. We got Courtney Harden.
What's going on, you guys? Nice to see you guys once again. Everyone had a great weekend and ready for another great show.
Definitely. We got Al. Hi, what's going on?
Good evening. How y'all doing?
Got the Rockets hat on. I gotta rep the Rangers gear, even though we lost. Even though we couldn't hit a home run in our own new stadium, but anyway,
right. I gotta represent Philly. Even though I'm not really, don't have a favorite team in baseball. That's one thing I don't really have, but representing my city. So
hold on. Chiefs a week away, baby. Chiefs a week away, baby.
That's another segment, man. That's another show.
and he got the God is Dope shirt.
Dope tonight,
yeah, if you're not familiar with that brand, man, it's a great brand. Also, they have the different colors, and it's pretty. I'm not gonna say cheap, but it's less expensive. You're not gonna be paying $20-$30 for a shirt, so
yeah,
you gotta love it. All right, so let's get into kind of the opening topic right here. We got a lot going on in Major League Baseball, and the question now is, will the MLB season finish? We're like, 4 games in or so?
Yeah, about, yeah.
We have 2 games that are canceled today. If you're watching this after it's over, we're talking Monday right now. 2 games canceled tonight. Let me pause and say, make sure you subscribe and click that bell so you can be on top of all the content we're putting out. But it didn't take me by surprise, but this is the first spread that we've seen in any other major sports. We already know what's going on with Major League Baseball. We already know that NBA's in the bubble. NFL is still trying to figure out what they're doing. But the big question is, how is Major League Baseball going to respond? You have certain players already calling out Manfred. So I'm going to start with you, Al. Kind of give me your thoughts on where this is going.
Okay, from like the little bit that I know, 3 games in, 60 game season. Oh man, it's tough. Like, I feel like from the get-go, with the players voting, they didn't want to play to begin with. So Manfred gave his executive order where you are going to play. And now we see this breakout. You got the Miami Marlins from Florida, by the way, which is a hot spot, traveling for a game. And now 10 of the staff members and some of the players are testing positive. So this is not a good look for Major League Baseball. I just think that this was thrown together at the last minute. I really believe they should have considered a bubble. Maybe you have 30 teams, 30 divided by 6, you have 5 cities, have those teams rotate and play games. That could have been a little bit better plan. But you're doing these, you're in these different cities for 3 games here, 3 games there. What is the protocol when the team gets back to the hotel? What staff members are carrying this type of stuff? See, this is the type of stuff that you got to deal with. And then you go into planes, and in the airplane, you want to flight for maybe about 2 or 3 hours. So you have your mask on, but then the other thing that people don't forget is this part right here. They forget your eyes. So you don't have any type of covering for your eyes. So this virus can also get in your eyes and affect you that way. So just the planning of it, I like for me to say right now to finish the season is really about, we got to wait a little bit more. I would say right now I'm 40% to finish and 60% against it right now. Just from the statistics and the postponement of games. But then the other key thing is, if you start having players opt out now, that's going to be that's when you have major players opting out, man. That's when we gonna probably might see the season end. we'll probably know more about it within a week, probably a week to 2 weeks, because the players are getting tested daily. But this whole thing with Manfred, man, like I said before in these videos, the relationship between the players and Manfred for like several years now has not been good. And it's going to be probably a tell-all book of what really happened before COVID hit. So,
yeah, it's one of these situations where this is something you can't sweep under the rug because it's on the news every single day. It's on TV every single day. So they got to deal with it head on. We got a question here from Taryn Rodriguez. Thank you for tuning in. A huge supporter of BS3 Radio. Says, does this mean the Miami Marlins are eliminated from playoff contention? Not yet, but it's a possibility. They on the real talk though, they need to be eliminated for those jerseys. I'm not really feeling those jerseys. I'm not feeling the jerseys.
Oh man.
That weird fish on there. They doing what they can. They doing that.
It's only 60 games too, so they probably getting ready for next year too. So that's
right, true. But man, it's just crazy to see that you're this early in and you have issues that a lot of us knew was going to happen. We shouldn't be, madly surprised of what's going on. But Courtney, I'll go to you with everything going on. You're in Philly. I think, they just came through Philly, or they were going to be going into Philly today. But kind of talk about your thoughts with the news swirling around.
I'm not surprised, man. Like, we talked about this, I know, through our shows and things like that. And it was only inevitable that this was going to happen. Not to be a downer and anything, because we were super excited about baseball starting and, Major League sports starting. I mean, I just had a show Saturday talking about our predictions for Major League Baseball and will they finish. We talked about NFL, we talked about basketball beginning, the WNBA starting. So it's one of those things, like you said, it's the travel. The travel is what's going to happen. So the Marlins coming into Philly, and then from a hot spot, as Al said, I mean, that's probably the hottest spot for COVID right now is Florida, Texas, Arizona, and California. These are the hottest spots. I mean, you're talking thousands of cases a day and more and beyond. So, I'm not surprised that this has happened this early. And then now they've been tested over what they said, 13 players and 14 players and staff members. Now they have to quarantine. And I was just watching the news earlier today, and one of the local sports broadcasters was talking about here in Philly. He was talking about, they're in a hotel. Now they're at a hotel. They're quarantining here in Philly in a hotel, but they're saying that that's a risk too, because they're going through the city the way they've been doing, and they're saying that's risky, and it can affect people here right in the city itself. So I mean, I prayers to them, and hopefully they test negative, and then they can travel back to Miami and be safe. That's the first and foremost. But it's all about the players' health, and we'll find out now if baseball really cares about the players' health going forward. Because if there's more players that are that will test positive, which is going to happen because of the travel and you're coming from different cities and everything. So if they test positive, it could be a huge outbreak. Then the Major League Baseball have to be shut down, and I don't know if they're going to be able to finish. I'm not as optimistic as I was maybe a couple weeks ago, but this should be this outbreak now for the Miami Marlins definitely should be. They can look at this, maybe try to get some more protocols in place, and move forward. But it's inevitable. This is going to happen some more.
Yeah, it's one of those things that this is only the beginning. Courtney, you said that. This is really only the beginning. Who knows what other team, because you are traveling. That's the problem. You're traveling, which means you're going to be interacting with all types of people that other people aren't. And then that's when one gets it. That's when 10. That's when it starts to multiply on. Shout out to Jordan Rosario. Thank you for tuning in. Mocha Bella, thank you. We got a little bit of clowning going in between on the Marlins, but this is, we had a conversation about this a couple shows ago. Will there be a Major League Baseball season? And then come to find out, 3 hours later, it was like, yeah, we're having this, and you can show up or not show up. It's your choice. But if you don't show up, obviously you don't get paid. So Major League Baseball is now at this point in time, and they got to really, they do have to really think about that. David Price was the one that brought that up. Does Major League Baseball truly care about the players? And now we'll get to see a real glimpse of that. But at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's not about anything else. It's not about the fans. It's not about how many hot dogs you're selling, because you can't sell any, because obviously nobody's there. So, I mean, it's about how much money you bring in. So this is what's going on right now currently with Major League Baseball. And they said they haven't thought about shelving the season. They said they haven't even thought about it. So this is like not even in a conversation yet. But what I said earlier is it's going to be a conversation that's going to be had. Because
maybe next week. Maybe next week.
Wait till next week.
Yep, next week.
Till next week. And if you want to look at other leagues, this makes Adam Silver look like a genius.
Yeah.
And NFL is on alert right now.
Oh yeah, they're on the bubble.
They on the bubble.
Yeah, they on the bubble.
Yeah, because to think about it, I really think the NFL was really waiting to see how Major League Baseball did it.
Yep.
And how the NBA and WNBA and MLS, and the report came out last week with the NBA that there was a reports of positive testing in the bubble. Now we're gonna have to see what's up with Lou, going to Magic City, but neither with some lemon pepper wings up in there.
Yeah, right. Give them wings. It'll be the best wings, man.
There had to be some 5-star wings.
Yes, yeah, man.
but it lets you know where the heart of a person is too. They're dealing with ownership of baseball, but Adam Silver, they say he's a players commissioner. So, man, kudos to Adam Silver right now, and what he's done. So,
and then just to add to that, like you were saying about the outbreak. Okay, so you got one team that just had it. That's like 40% of their staff, their players. So say other teams get, start 10, 15 players. They said the only plan I think they have is now they probably to bring up minor league players to play. So then they can get, so they can be, affected by this, come on. Got a better plan than that, man. Like,
so they can get the runner. Yeah, basically that's what they're about to feed them to the wolves, basically.
Yeah, right. So you got it. Like, okay, they look at this like, okay, one team, either they carried it here to Philly. They don't know. They said they could have got it here. They could have got it, bringing it from Miami to maybe some players from Miami back to here to Philly. But even if you do even that, it's like you still got to have, okay, this is a warning. Like, okay, let's try to put some more protocols in place. We got to have more stricter travel, something, safety, some other safety. I know they took as much as they could. They did the best they could. Coronavirus goes to anybody. It doesn't. It don't matter who it's against, black, white, children, unfortunately, elderly. It doesn't even matter, young, old. It goes right through everybody. So it can go right to anybody. So yeah, Corona has it goes right through everybody. So yeah, they gotta at least get some more safety measures in place.
Yeah. Shout out to Kevin Gray, Kevin Gray Sports. He's on 105.3 The Fan here in Dallas. Shout out to him. But when the NFL is definitely on the clock, which they've been sitting back. College football has been saying, certain conferences are saying that they're not going to do this, that they're not even going to reboot, or they're not even going to start off, or they're going to push it, or whatever it may be. But this is a clear-cut sign that if you're not in a bubble, it's not going to be successful. And now I don't know how you do a Major League Baseball bubble. That may be, a different conversation for, another day. But NBA has been able to do that. NHL has no cases. That's what they said as of today. They had 0 cases.
Yep.
So Major League Baseball's got so many in just a short amount of time. Where do they go from here? So that's the big storyline right now. I'm sure NFL and college are really looking at this a lot closer. And you got kids with parents. If that was my kid, I'm like, hey, you just need to sit out this season. You know, depending on what your eligibility is, if you've already shown what you can do over these past couple of years, you know, it may not even be worth you getting out there because this is your life potentially. You know, this is your life. So I mean, it's a lot deeper.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But let's get to the major topic of today or tonight's, as I should say, topic. The top 5 Major League Baseball players. And this is our individual top 5 Major League Baseball players. You know, last week we did athletes, we did comedians, and we did music artists. That was fun. We really went dive deep into that one. My dad was on that one as well, so we got some really good conversation with that one. We're gonna do top 5 Major League Baseball players. Who wants to go first? Al or Courtney?
I'm gonna let Courtney go. I'm the baby. You know,
I'll be the leadoff hitter on this one.
All right, we're going with Courtney first. You're doing top 5 Major League Baseball players. Make sure to put yours right there in the comments so we can definitely share those out also.
Yep. Got this list, got the notebook here. So you know how we do this studying here, man. We do this. So, but yeah, so I went a little different route. We always talk about the greatest players of all time and, of each sport. But I did my top 5 players that growing up watching who I liked watching the most. So my top 5. So that's how I did it. Number 1, Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite baseball player of all time. 22 years strong. Give you a little bit of history with Ken Griffey. 22 years strong, and played 22 years in Major League Baseball. Baseball Hall of Famer, of course. 13-time All-Star. He is seventh on the all-time home runs list with 630. So he was a beast, hitting the ball. Like Ken Griffey, the kid, as they called him, had that smile, had the swagger, played with that backwards hat that he did, man. I mean, this guy had the sweetest swing, that you've probably ever seen. One of the sweetest swings you've ever seen, man. I mean, he was just so good. And not only was he good offensively, he was great defensively, too. Center fielder, 10-time Gold Glove winner. His Hall of Fame, he was in the Hall of Fame, got inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2016. He received a 99.3% percentage for Hall of Fame votes. So he missed it by one or two votes. So we talked about that before a couple weeks ago. Ken Griffey should have been unanimous 100%. So, but at that time, it was the highest until Mariana Rivera and Derek Jeter. Mariana Rivera was the only unanimous Hall of Fame inductee. So Griffey was also player of the decade in the 90s. Also during the 98 home run chase, we talked about Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. If Griffey wasn't injured, if he didn't get injured throughout that season, we might have he would have made a case. But even in that season, with the injuries, he finished with 56 home runs and 146 RBI. So he had a monster year anyway. Any typical year, that would have been MVP season, but he did win MVP. He was also an All-Star MVP. So Ken Griffey is my number 1 baseball player of all time. Number 2, Barry Bonds. Got to roll with him. I know, steroid era, and he's linked to performance-enhancing drugs, but Barry Bonds was still a beast, regardless. I mean, this guy was a hit monster, hit machine. So over 2,900 hits. 762 home runs, he had 1,996 RBIs, holds both career and single season home run records. Yes, he has the dark cloud over his career with alleged steroid use, but 14-time All-Star, 8 Gold Gloves, 7 MVPs. That's unheard of. 7 MVPs. That's crazy. He was so dominant in his career. He holds records for walks and intentional walks. That's how That's how dangerous of a hitter he was. You hold walks you hold record for walks and intentional walks. You're a dangerous hitter. And he's the only player in history with 500 home runs and 500 plus home runs, 500 plus stolen bases. So Barry Bonds was a beast as a player too. So he's number 2 on my list. Number 3. Ben, your dad talked about this guy last week as one of his greatest athletes of all time. So I had to put him up there. He was one of my favorite baseball players, Ricky Henderson. So I'll just quickly, because we talked about this last week, but to me, he was the best leadoff hitter of all time. Athleticism, speed, just such an exciting player. He holds major league record for stolen bases with 1,406. Most runs in history, 2,295 runs. He's also was an MVP, 10-time All-Star. He's part of the over 3,000 hits club, which is an exclusive club. And also he has over 1,100 RBIs. So Ricky Henderson's number 3. Number 4, the captain, Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter. Yeah, man. The captain, Derek Jeter. 20 years, all with the Yankees. So that's a rarity when you have players like that. Kobe, Tim Duncan, guys that played on the same team throughout their career. So Derek Jeter was one of those Hall of Famer. He just got inducted this year, 2020, even though, they're with COVID going on, they got to do the ceremony next year, but he's 2020 Hall of Famer. He got 99.75% of the votes. So another almost unanimous. So, but that's the second highest in history. 5-time World Series champion, one of the most clutch hitters in history. Like they called him Mr. Captain Clutch and Mr. November. So intangible leadership, base running. He's a Yankees all-time leader in hits, doubles, games played, stolen bases, 14-time All-Star, 5 Gold Gloves, shortstop. I mean, this guy was a monster. He's also part of that 3,000 hit club for his career. He's 6th in Major League Baseball history. He also, one of my stats that I like that from him is he has hit 321, batting average 321 in the World Series. So that's why they called him Mr. November. So Derek Jeter's number 4. And number 5, I had to go a pitcher, and this was hard. This was hard to do because I like so many pitchers, but I gotta go with Randy Johnson. I think he gets slept on a lot. The big unit. Yes. Okay. Yes. One of the greatest pitchers of all time. I loved Randy Johnson. So, he's 6'10", the big unit, dominant, fastballs and sliders. That's all he used to throw. He used to throw all that heat, that smoke on those fastballs. So, he played until he was 45 years old. 2nd in strikeouts. He has the highest strikeout per 9 innings. Also, he pitched the perfect game, no hitter, 5 Cy Young awards. He's also a World Series MVP. His record is 303 and 166. That's crazy. 3.29 ERA, and he has over 4,800 strikeouts. So that's my top 5 baseball players.
I like that. I like that list. Man, first off, King Griffey was definitely one of my favorites. My dad could tell you, anybody that knows me could tell you that. Barry Bonds being from the Bay, Ricky Henderson, me being from the Bay, that was one of my 2, favorites. And Jeter, man, is a classic. That's a great. You got to put Jeter on the list. Randy Johnson too, man. Way he was able to just strike people out, and he killed a bird in the game. That was him.
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah,
that bird got in his way. Real quick, let's share. Already shared Jordan's. This is Terrence. You had Mike Trout, Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, Gene Carlos Stanton, George Springer, and that's players currently. And you got a great list right there. All of those guys are at the top of their game. So great list. All right, Al, you're up next.
All right, so I got a mix of players and pitchers and batters. So we're gonna start with number 1, that just revolutionized baseball in my eyes and took it to a different level. Took the home run ball to a different level, and that would be Barry Bonds. 762 career home runs, broke the home run season 73 home runs in the season, 7-time NL MVP. But what got me was that he had 500 home runs. Only person to have 500 home runs and 500 stolen bases. That's that to me is just crazy, because not only did he have the power, but he had the speed as well. And then I talked about last week how he had his daddy, it was Bobby Bonds, and then his godfather was Willie Mays. So with that lineage of baseball pedigree, similar to Ken Griffey Jr., but that pedigree, man, you have no choice really but to be great, to be legendary, man. and to listen. Now, some people don't do it, but those two players' caliber, where Barry Bonds, man, took it to a different level. So I don't think he gets to do just like maybe like a Sammy Sosa would. He's not celebrated like a Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, but Barry brought the wood consecutively for years. You know, Sammy got hot after '98, so that's why Barry Bonds is number one on my list. Number two, I'm gonna take it to the AL East, and this guy inspired me when I was a kid, looking at the number of games that he played consecutively, and that was Cal Ripken Jr. 20 years with the same team, played 2,632 consecutive games. Nobody is doing that right now.
No.
And I think the closest person maybe in football who did that was like a Brett Favre and an Eli Manning. Yep. But to play consecutively games played for that amount of years, 162 games a year like that, that's unheard of. Won the World Series in 1983 with the Orioles, two-time AL MVP, Gold Glove winner. Also, he played shortstop and third base. So Cal Ripken would be my number two. Number three is going to be pitching, and this is one of the pitchers that I fell in love with when I was younger. His name go by the name of Greg Maddox. I started watching Greg Maddox when he was in Atlanta on TBS, the Superstation, and then they had Tom Glavine, Greg Maddox, John Smoltz, that trio. But Greg Maddox was that dude, 4-time NL Cy Young winner, won the World Series in '95. You remember that team very well. David Justice, Chipper Jones, Bobby Cox as the manager for many years. 18 Gold Gloves, 8-time All-Star appearances. So Greg Maddox is my number three. Number four, we got to go to El Capitan, Mr. October, Derek Jeter. Now I'm really wasn't a big Yankee fan. I really wanted to see like the Red Sox. I kind of was the person who wanted to see parity. And then after years past, you kind of respect the history of it and what champions go through. But Derek Jeter, 14-time All-Star, AL rookie in 1996, 5 World Series rings, 20 years, Gold Gloves, man. Now is the executive of the Miami Marlins. So, man, when it came to October, though, it's like he turned this competitiveness into a different gear in October. And I'm like, dang, these people can't beat the Yankees. What's going on? Like, man, y'all need to beat this team, man. And but I respected his competitiveness, man. And then you also had a great manager in Joe Torre as well, who was there to mentor. And so Derek Jeter, my number four. And then I gotta go with his teammate number 5, the greatest closer, Mariana Rivera. When he came in the game, you knew what time it was. Lights out. It was over. That was it. 13-time All-Star, 5 World Series championships, and a leader in saves. It was when Mariana came in the game, it was lights out. And you probably will never have a greatest closer like that, a greatest shortstop like that on the and other greatness on the same team like that because of salary cap and other things going on. You know, everybody want to get $500 million. I don't blame you, but if the salary cap is a certain amount, not everybody gonna get $500 million. And then you got ownership like Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner was willing to open up that pocketbook because he had the money to do it, and he wanted to do it. So that's my top 5, man. Number 5, Mariana Rivera. That's all right.
I like that 5. Let me go. Yeah, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds was number 1. Who was number 2?
Number 2. Wait a minute. Let me scroll back on the list. Was Cal Ripken. Cal Ripken Jr.
Okay, Cal Ripken Jr. And then you had Greg Maddox, Derek Jeter, and the closer of all closers,
Yeah.
Another Mr. Clutch.
Yeah,
Man,
and he came in, it was over. It was no, like, oh no, maybe I can get a hit. Nah, it was over.
Yeah.
And you knew it was over.
And you knew, and if he came in the 8th inning with 5 instead of 3 outs, 5 outs sometimes too, Mariana would come in, man. Like we might as well forget it.
Yeah, I mean, the only unanimous Hall of Famer too right now, percentage wise. So he got the only one to get 100%. So he was clutch.
Yeah. Well, let's do this at the end. Let's do the honorable mentions at the end. If you guys had any honorable mentions.
Oh yeah, plenty of them.
Yeah, definitely. So what I did with mines, I'm kind of one of those that I like to go back into history and kind of bring up all the old cats and old guys that are already probably dead and gone, but they laid the groundwork, for what we have right now. So I'm gonna start at number 1. I'm gonna keep going like what we were doing. I talked about him last week, and it's only fair that if I said he's in the top 5 of all athletes, I gotta
put him up there.
So Hank Aaron, put him at number 1. Played for the Milwaukee Atlanta Braves, also Milwaukee Brewers. 24-time NL All-Star, AL All-Star, NL MVP, 3-time Gold Gloves, Hall of Famer. Won a championship in 1957. Had a batting average of .305. There's not a lot of people that can do that. So for people that say, "Oh, he was just a home run hitter," no, he wasn't. He had 3,771 hits. To be able to do that, you got to be an all-around hitter. You got to see the ball, hit the ball. Like if anybody to play Little League, that's what your coach would say. You see the ball, you hit the ball. That's what he did. 755 home runs. He had that record for quite a while. He broke it from Babe Ruth, which was something that not anybody could do. And the hell that he got for breaking that record too. And he still came to work. Still played. To me, he is number 1 from 1974 to 2007. That's a long time. We already know who broke it. Barry Bonds, which I'll get to him. And also another interesting fact is that Aaron had 20 or more home runs in 20 consecutive seasons, the most since seasons and the longest streak of all time. 20 home runs. And that goes with like injuries. I mean, what if I guess he was like Iron Man, because it didn't seem like he got that many injuries. He did it for 20 straight. So that's my number 1. I gotta pay respect to Hank Aaron. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Babe Ruth. I'm gonna go with Babe Ruth at number 2. Okay. Right. I was gonna put him at number 1, but I'm like, if I put Hank Aaron as one of the top athletes of all time, I can't now switch it up. Yeah. I'm not gonna switch it up, but I gotta put Babe Ruth. You think he played right field, left field. He was also a starter. What Shohei Ohtani, if anybody's a baseball fan, what he's trying to do right now is what Babe Ruth was doing back in the day. AL MVP, champions, seven championships with Boston Red Sox, with New York, 342 batting average. That was all-time leader. On base percentage, 1.164. And he had 714 home runs. He had that record for quite a while. Slugging percentage, 690. And the other interesting stat about Babe Ruth is that he had an ERA of 2.28, which ranks 3rd among starters since earned runs were officially kept in both leagues in 1913. So he could do stuff on both sides of the baseball, if you will, being able to pitch and being able to hit. One of the greatest hitters of all time, no doubt about it. So I got to put him in at number 2. Number 3, we talked about him. Somebody mentioned him. Willie Mays at center field. Willie Mays, growing up playing baseball, that was somebody that I didn't know that much about. I read about it, but just to know what he did and how groundbreaking his game was. He played with the New York Giants, San Francisco Giants, and New York Mets. He won Rookie of the Year, 2-time MVP. won a championship, 302. He had 660 home runs. To be able to do that, period, is a feat alone by itself. But he was very successful at what he did. And here's a couple interesting facts. He had 18 home runs off of Hall of Famer Warren Spahn, the most Mays hit off of any single pitcher. He also had 1,859 RBIs with the Giants, one shy of Mel Oates' franchise record. And Mays is the franchise leader in doubles, runs, and hits. Willie Mays is one of the best, and you could say the best Giant. I mean, if you want to tie it with him and Barry Bonds, you can do that, but they're very close.
Yep. And
as I go to my my next is his godson. I guess that was his godson. I got to go with Barry Bonds, man, which we all talked about him, but just everything that he did in the game. No, he wasn't that well liked. Yes, he did grow up he was playing in the era of steroids, but to be able to hit that many home runs, he was also a good hitter. People just forget that he wasn't just later on, he did become that guy. But if you look at his days during the Pirates, you look at his days early on with the Giants, he was a hitter. So I got to go with Barry Bonds, one of my hometown favorites. And then this what am I at? This fifth spot was very, very difficult for me because I wanted to put Griffey. I was thinking about Griffey. I was thinking about because he was just one of my favorites. But now I gotta go with Jackie Robinson, man. What Jackie Robinson did in baseball for all of us, not just for African Americans, but what he did for all of us is something that has to be recognized. So I got to go with Jackie Robinson at number 5. And that's my top 5 right there. It was now getting towards the end of the list was difficult. The top part of the list to me wasn't that hard. But getting to the bottom was definitely a difficult one. But let's talk about honorable mentions. Al, what honorable mentions did you have with this top 5? I know it's definitely difficult.
So I think let me pull up my list. So I had at least 5 of them on there. I had some old school people like Hank Aaron had on there. I had to even go back to the Negro leagues like Buck O'Neil, Satchel Paige.
Satchel, yeah.
Satchel Paige, yep.
Yeah. But Tom Glavine, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson. These people I enjoyed watching growing up in the Yankees' dominance. Even though I'm like, dang, the Yankees keep winning. But I respected the excellence, man. Tony Gwynn, he to the World Series. But probably one of my 2 favorite honorable mentions on this list would probably be like Manny Ramirez and Josh Hamilton, and Josh Hamilton's time with the Rangers, and that run that they had in the early part of I think that between 2008 and 2012, where they were winning a lot of games with Texas. But Manny Ramirez and what they did in Boston and that team and his swing and brought life to that city of Boston, man, you can't, man, that will never be forgotten.
Yep.
What Manny Ramirez and those players did. So Tom Glavine, because of his dominance, teaming up with Maddox and Smoltz, Roger Clemens, Josh Hamilton, Ken Griffey, Satchel Paige, and Buck O'Neil. So that's my list of honorable mentions.
Okay. Definitely a good honorable mentions list. Courtney, what do you have on yours?
Almost the same. Like you guys already mentioned a lot of them, but Babe Ruth, if you go historically, Babe Ruth, you got to put him up there. Definitely. I mean, he's one of the best baseball players ever, if not the best baseball player ever. So Ted Williams, you got, you said Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, a couple other ones like Roger Clemens, you said Pedro Martinez. This guy, to me, he was one of the most clutch pitchers. I think for like a 7-8 year stretch. You talked about Manny Ramirez and that Boston team, Pedro and Kurt Schilling. That pitching staff, man. Oh my goodness, they was lights out, man. Pedro was lights out. I think, and then an 8 year span. If I get my years, I think it was like 99 to like 2007, 2008, somewhere in that range. Pedro was so lights out, and I know he's 200. I think his record was 219 and 100 or something like that. He had his ERA was 2 point something. And on top of that, he won a World Series. He also was a 3-time Cy Young winner as well, finished in the top 5 during that 7-year stretch. So he to me, they brought some life to Boston and to win those World Series. So he was on my list. You said Roger Clemens, Ichiro. Can't forget about him. He was a hit monster, man. This guy, you needed a clutch. You needed a hit. He was the guy to get a hit. Like if you need a single, a double, he had a little pop, in his bat too. So Ichiro was another one. There was so many, but those to me, that 5th spot, as you said, Ben, was like tough, man. I couldn't even get that. I didn't even know what to do with that 5th spot. But I went with Randy Johnson. I was going to go Pedro, but I said I did like Randy Johnson, maybe slightly better. But yeah, those are some of my guys on the honorable mention. Definitely.
So I like I said, Ken Griffey, one of my favorite players, man. All around, like 3-tool player. Could hit, field, stealing bases, all the skills he had every last one of them. So he was definitely one of those for me. Also, I had let me see. I think somebody already mentioned Ted Williams, but Ty Cobb. I was thinking about Ty Cobb. If you go way back, you just talk about what he did during that older era of baseball, that original era. Roger Clemens definitely was one of those guys that when he got on the mount, you knew he was going to go as long as possible. Al, you already mentioned Greg Maddox, but Tom Glavine too. Yeah. That Braves team, man. Yeah. That Braves team, everything they had, Javi Lopez, that catcher. That Braves team was so good, man.
They were really good.
Man,
they should have got more World Series than what they got, man.
Yeah. They ran into the Yankees, man. They ran
into that buzzsaw.
It's like Jordan Bulls, man. You ran into that buzzsaw, man. You couldn't win.
Man.
Yeah, Mark McGuire was somebody I was thinking about too. Because if you think Barry, you got to consider Mark. So those are kind of my honorable mentions. But that 5th spot was the hardest because you just think about all the greatness in baseball. Derek Jeter was one of those. I didn't even think about Cal Ripken, but Cal Ripken, man, to be able to break that record, how many night after night after night. And the fact is, he wasn't playing. It wasn't like he was playing left or right. He was playing shortstop or third. Like you run it all the time, you throw it all the time. I'm sure he probably could have thrown his arm out of the socket a couple times. And some of these times you throw in the first. If anybody ever thrown from third to first or seen the distance on the field, you would be like, nah, I don't think I can do it.
Don't forget Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Should be in the Hall of Fame, man. He's a top 30 player. This is the all-time hits leader. This guy should be in the Hall of Fame now, man. Almost 5,000 hits.
Ron Manfred is tripping, man. Go ahead. That's another problem people upset with Ron Manfred. Let this man get back in Major League Baseball.
Yes,
bro,
man.
Like,
you still punishing this dude.
Yeah.
He served his punishment, right? He served his time. Like, let this dude get into the Hall of Fame. No, another player I forgot to mention was he's not well liked either. He's definitely linked to the steroid era. Is Alex Rodriguez, man. I used to love A-Rod, man. Like, this dude, it was he was a monster. Like when him and Griffey were that lineup was him, Griffey, Edgar Martinez, 3-4 hit. Oh my goodness, man. They beat the Yankees in that one series, in one of the series back in the 90s. And Griffey, that's when he climbed the wall, got that catch. It was Game 5. He was so clutch. Man, that was a good one. Nolan Ryan, can't forget about him.
Yeah, right.
Man. There's like so many players, man. So many.
Right. Yeah, so many. Yeah, Nolan Ryan, though, you're right, man. He basically had a fastball. That was it. Like the dude was throwing sliders and splitters and all that.
And 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
27 years, this man Nolan Ryan pitched. Okay, 27. So. And see the durability of players back then, they didn't have all this technology now, like Cal Ripken and Hank Aaron to play them years, and they didn't miss many games. Nowadays we got all this technology all this new stuff going on.
Load management.
Load management. Like, what's going on? Like, Kyle Ripken probably had a lot of aches and pains, but this brother still played through it. So I just question it now. Like, man, what's really going? What's the difference right now, man? Right.
Yeah.
And then Courtney, when you said Kirk Schilling, I thought about the bloody sock.
Yeah. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I think that's like in the Boston Hall of Fame now, that.
Right.
Play through that pain, so
many good players.
So many, man. The list, we can make a top 100 list, and then we would be like, oh man, we left this person off. I mean,
forgot about this guy, Mike Piazza, guys like that. You know what I mean? Like,
catchers don't get a lot of love. I don't know why. I mean, they got double duty. Right. They gotta catch. They gotta basically squat for like God knows how long, and then they gotta get up and hit. And most of the time, those have been some of the best hitters in the game is catchers. So I mean, it's a lot to think about. So that's our top 5. Anybody that's watching, go ahead and share yours. You can put yours in there anytime. But man, great conversation to have about these top 5. The other part of the conversation we're gonna have is just talking about potential teams that we would see going into the playoffs if there happens to be a playoffs. We have to get that far. But 60 games, one other thing, Verlander, they said Verlander had an injury, he's done for the season. Then Verlander says, well, I'm not done, it's just a soreness. But the fact is, though, if you're on a 45-day DL, it's only 60 games.
It's over.
Like, you don't have a lot of time.
It's over, right.
You can't be on a 60-day DL. You can't be suspended for 60 games.
Right.
It's a wrap for you. It's a wrap. I'm gonna kick this off. I got a couple from what I was basically gonna do is have a couple from the AL, a couple from the NL. Obviously, you got the usual suspects. The Yankees, they always got a stacked roster. It just depends on if one of their players is going to get injured. You already know Stanton. You already know the pitching. They've been building up their farm system, so they're pretty much, in the prime spot. Another team that a lot of people may not be talking about is the White Sox. The White Sox got a good squad. Abreu. They've been adding players. They got young talent in the system. So that's another team you got to look out for. I mean, you can't sleep on these young guys because these young teams, I mean, they're hungry, they're ready. They have had nothing to do for the longest, so they're all good to go. So that's going to be another team that I was thinking about. You can't count out, and they should have a shot. The Astros, the Astros have snuck a bullet. And I'm not talking about a slow one. I'm talking about a hot bullet. They
hot. Started hot.
COVID got them out of the hot seat. Nobody's talking about that anymore. Nobody's talking about Houston. Nobody's. And they still got a squad. Greinke, McCullers. You think about if Verlander's good, you never know. Robert Osuna. Their infield is already stacked. The outfield is stacked. Taryn already mentioned George Springer. Don't forget Altuve. I mean, they got everything, you pretty much need. I was gonna say my Rangers. I'm gonna still go ahead and say it right now, but it's not looking good because Corey Kluber, who was supposed to be, our big ace, is already on the DL.
Already.
The sad part is he only pitched 1 inning and he started feeling soreness. Now, here's my thinking, though. You had to have felt this before the opening day. Come on, man. You had to have felt this before. Your arm just don't snap all of a sudden after pitching the ball in the first inning. You had it. Maybe he felt it. Maybe he could have known it all along. You just never know. But we got Odor, Elvis. We got a young outfield. We still got Joey Gallo, who's going to be mashing home runs like crazy. So that's my AL. My NL, you look at the Braves, man, which is a crazy another one of those crazy young teams where they just have everything. Yeah, everything. They could be going back to that old Braves team. I don't know how good the pitching is necessarily, but I do know everybody on this roster can pretty much hit and put the ball in play. And that's what you need. So I got the Braves. I'm also going to go with the Mets. You know, the Mets is one of those New York teams where you always consider them to not be involved or to screw something up. But they got a pretty decent squad. Cespedes, you see what Cespedes will do this year. Robinson Cano. Who else they got? Pete Alonso. You know, they got pieces. You know, it's just a matter if they would put it all together. And then the Phillies, man. The Phillies spending a lot of money. They spent a lot of money to get one guy, but they do have a little bit around him. They did add McCutcheon, so that'll be a good center fielder. You have Jay Bruce. Who else they got? Juan Segura, Didi Gregarious, which they picked up from the Yankees. So they got some noise there. And the last team, every single year, I think y'all know what I'm going to say. Every single year, we're like, this is the year the Dodgers are going to win it all. And then
here we go.
Look, you got 60 games, okay? I don't want to hear anything about I was tired. I don't want any of that. Clayton Kershaw is on the DL already, but this rest the guy up. But you added Mookie Betts, one of the best players in the game right now, and they pretty much have all of the same pieces. And they had David Price, but obviously David Price is not decided not to come. So if there was a year for the Dodgers to do this, it is right now. You don't have to play all these games. You don't have to worry about your body breaking down, and you honestly cannot have any excuses at this point. So those are my teams. I can see going to the playoffs with this, shortened season here. Terrence says Astros, Dodgers, and Yankees are locks for the playoffs. The Dodgers are a little bit after the split to the Giants. The Angels are long overdue for a playoff berth with Trout. Yeah, you're right about that too. We'll go to Courtney. What you got for teams possibly?
Yeah, man. This is going to be, like we said, it's unprecedented season already. So, and like you said, 60 games, this is a sprint. It's not a marathon. So if you lose 7-8 games right in a row, you about almost done. You might as well say you're done.
Yeah.
I'm worried about the Phillies. I think they're 0-3 or 1-2. I think they're 0-3. They got swept by the Marlins, or at least they lost. I know they lost 2 of the 3 games. So they don't have enough time to really recover. If you start losing these series, you start losing 4 or 5 series, you go 0-3, 1-2, and then it's over. It's over in a hurry. So, and you talk about the injuries now with Verlander and, Kershaw. That guy can't stay healthy no more, man, for the Dodgers. And it's one of those things. He was getting ready to pitch for the Dodgers and be, the opening day starter, stiffness in his back. I'm like, really? Like, again? Like, this guy stays on the DL. He stays on the DL, man. Like, it's like disabled list. It's like, come on, man. And they need him. I mean, he's not the same pitcher, but the Dodgers definitely need him. But I agree with T-Rod. Astros, Dodgers, Yankees. They're the top of the list. Yankees and Dodgers and Astros. They got probably the best offensive teams in the league right now. They got really good pitching. So I think one of those 3 teams will probably win it all in the end. So, but other sleeper teams, I wrote some teams down. I said Tampa Bay. They got some really good pitching coming up. They were good last year with the pitching. So I think now they had the pitcher to really make it far. So can't count out the Tampa Bay Rays. Minnesota, they had the most home runs last year in the season. So, and then they added third baseman Josh Donaldson. So pitching is suspect, but I think they'll be a sleeper in the American League as well. We talk about the Astros, talk about the Yankees. The Yankees are loaded. They loaded from top to bottom. Garrett Cole at the top of the list also. So you gotta respect the Yankees. They could win the whole thing as long as their pitching holds up. The Dodgers, like you said, in the NL, the Dodgers, right at the top. They're loaded from top to bottom too. Got really good pitching, but this has got to be the year. As you said, a shortened season. If they can't do it this year, they'll never be able to do it. They'll get there and then they just bottom out. So, but I just don't have any faith in them to put it all together. They might get there to the World Series, but I don't know if they'll win it. But also in NL, the Washington Nationals, defending champs. Can't sleep on them as well. Again, still got really good hitting. The pitching is top notch. So got to give it to the Nationals. The St. Louis Cardinals. They're a sleeper team right now. On my show I had shout out to LaDonna Samani, who's a huge Cardinals fan, and she always pushing her Cardinals and everything. So, but they got good relief pitching. And you need that. You're definitely gonna need that in the in this playoff this season, this shortened season. So those are some of the teams I got my eyes on. And you said Atlanta. They're young, they're hungry, and I think that they got a good shot to make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, man, they're such a young team, but they all can play. I mean, it's different with young, and you really aren't ready to take it to the next level, but they all. They all got the pieces and the firepower to do it. And I know LaDonna's definitely one of those Cardinals fans. I was listening to the replay of the show. Yeah, she rides or dies for those Cardinals. Huge
Cardinal fan, man. Yes.
All right. So next up, Al, what you got on your list there?
Okay, so I'm gonna give the usual suspects, because I know Kansas City's not gonna do anything this year. We was predicting in the office how many wins. I said 15, and my colleagues were like, "Man, you being generous." I'm like, "Okay, all right."
Wow.
I said all I said was wow. Okay, so with that being said, we got to. Number one, when you have this playoff format from 10 teams to 16 teams, I kind of like the format because those teams who were not able to get hot, the usual, can still rock and probably make the playoffs as like a 7th or 8th seed. So that being said, you definitely got to put the LA Dodgers in there. Definitely all eyes are going to be on Mookie with his contract that he just signed to see what he will do and what he will produce. That's one team. And a lot of people forget about the St. Louis Cardinals and the consistency that they have year in and year out with the farm system, with the pitching, with the bats that they produce. So definitely we need to be on the lookout for St. Louis and Milwaukee out of the NL Central. Out of the East, man, you cannot forget about the Nationals, and definitely this Atlanta Braves team. You got they got this hunger that reminds me of like if I can compare them to an NBA team like Oklahoma City. They all come together. They're just winning games, and they're just out there winning and having a good time. That's what this Atlanta Braves team reminds me of. Then we look in the AL. Definitely, you cannot forget about Houston. I want to cheer for Houston a little bit because of Dusty Baker. The consistency of Dusty Baker anytime he comes into management role and position. For Dusty, this is an unusual type of year, not only because of COVID, but because of the scandals that have been around the Houston Astros organization of recent. So definitely Houston. We cannot even forget about Oakland, Moneyball. We cannot forget if they can sneak in the playoffs in Oakland, that'll be good. So Houston and Oakland out the AL West, out the Central. I know you all said the Twins and the White Sox. We can flip a quarter on that one in the AL Central. I'm gonna go ahead and go with I'm gonna throw Cleveland in there, and then because I think about management. I think about what's the boy's name they used to coach? Terry Francona.
Right.
Like, just it starts with management, man, and how they manage their teams, man. And so I don't sleep on Terry. And if we look at the AL East, man, you definitely it's the Yankees. But let's keep an eye out on this young Toronto team. with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Man, he has a nice swing. Young bats, young hungry team. So this is 60 games. This is a sprint, but because of the playoff format going from 10 teams to 16 now, you have more options of seeing more teams in there. So we might be seeing a little bit more competitive baseball. So those are my teams to be on the lookout for.
Okay. I did not think about Toronto, but when you mention Vlad Jr., that kid has got a bat and a swing that I don't know if we've seen in a minute. It's just flying off the ball. So that's definitely going to be a huge piece right there. And then you got to think they can't even play in Toronto, so they're playing in what, Pittsburgh, I think is what they're playing.
Buffalo, yeah.
Minor league, Buffalo, yeah.
So I mean, I think we're gonna get some surprises just because it's a shortened season. When we talk about lightning in a bottle, this is lightning in a bottle right here. This is like, if you can get fired, you can get hot. It is definitely a sprint. So you got to be on all cylinders, from beginning to end. They, all of these teams, that we mentioned definitely got a chance, definitely got a possibility. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, like you said, that some of these teams, you don't think like you could probably win 30 games if you're like 30 or 40-20. You got a good shot, but if you fall, like you said, if you fall behind 0-10 or 1-9, it's over. I mean, it looks like it's almost over in 5 games now. It's like you can't go 0-5, 0-7. You're already 7 games in the hole. Like, then you got to really get hot. You can't. It's not 162 games to really play around with. You can be down 7 games going into September and still may have a chance. You can't do that now. You only got 60 games, so you got to really get hot like right away.
Yeah. We're gonna try something real quick. We're gonna pull up the standings.
Ooh, smooth.
We're gonna pull up the standings right here. Y'all can see that clearly. We're gonna try something out real quick.
Yeah, man.
Look at the Orioles at number 1. How long is that gonna last? I don't know. Cleveland, you brought up Cleveland. Oakland. Oakland's 3-1.
Don't sleep.
Yeah, look at my Rangers right there at 1-2.
Yeah,
we can keep it moving. Atlanta Braves at 2-1. The Miami COVIDs at 2-1. St. Louis and the Cubs. We didn't really talk about the Cubs, but if they can catch that lightning in a bottle. The Padres right there at 3-1. The Padres, which T-Rod mentioned that. I wanted to look at their depth chart real quick. We already know who, the big money person that they paid, Machado. But Tatis is another one of those. Jerickson Profar, you may not be familiar with that name, but he used to be with the Rangers. I mean, he was back there in the background, just kind of waiting around, to get his opportunity. But he can maybe do something with the Padres. So, we got a little bit of an interesting season right now. Will it finish? It's going to be a conversation definitely going forward. So, man, it was a really good conversation. NBA is starting Friday, I believe, right? Friday or Thursday?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, we got Thursday.
Okay.
We got 2 games Thursday night.
Yeah, the 30th. Yep. I forgot. I'm gambling on that, so I got
you got your DraftKings already set up,
right?
right?
I gotta get my DraftKings, man. I've been playing golf, so I've been winning some golf. So I said I gotta look up the NBA, man. Thursday.
So we right out the gate, we got Jazz and Pelicans. That's gonna be at 5:30 on TNT, and then we got Clippers Lakers at 8 on 8 Central Time. That's gonna be on Thursday. That's what we've been waiting for. LA versus LA. We've been waiting for it.
Yeah, man.
Now it's finally here.
And then the funny thing, the Clippers might not even have a roster, man. They got all these players. Pat Bev is out, and Lou Will coming back from Magic City, and
Lemon pepper. Lemon pepper wet. Yeah.
Lemon pepper barbecue wing. What that was?
Yeah. Soup is out. So They got half a roster, man.
Yeah, he said if anybody, Lou Will was basically saying, he said if anybody knows him, he would go to Maddox City to get those wings. So hey, I don't know if I will go there just because there's a lot of sweat and a lot of stuff going on there. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, but we got NBA coming back. What do you guys have coming up on your shows this week? We'll start with you, Courtney.
No show this weekend. I'm going to be out of town, celebrate my mom's retirement. She's retiring from working for 38 years, so I'll be gone to upstate New York for the weekend. So, but last week, had a real good show. Like I said, we talked to LaDonna Samani, also talked to Ariel Epstein from Sports Grid TV. We talked about sports coming back, gambling, sports betting, so check out her show on Sports Grid TV. She talks a lot of good sports betting tips and things like that. So that was this last week. So I'll be back next Saturday with a new show. Okay.
All right. Al, what do you have coming up this week?
This week, probably I have to reformat my stuff due to COVID-19 in the Major League Baseball. We will be reformatting certain things on the show coming up. That being said, definitely get into basketball talk. Try to get my NBA preview, sports is back preview, and I'm also bringing out a new segment called the High Five, and do 5 to 7 topics with my first special guest coming. I'm gonna leave it as a surprise, but got a special guest coming for the first segment of the High Five, where we do five topics, talk about quick 5 topics, and great content. Definitely excited to jump into the topic of Lou Williams, because I want to go in on him for just a moment, and we're gonna definitely highlight that situation.
You got
that can be 5 segments, and that can be 5 segments.
Exactly.
On that, yeah.
Now I'm gonna give Lou Will a little bit of props. He went to a wake or a funeral. But then after the funeral, then he ended up going to Maddox City to get some of those barbecues. But and that's a good thing about what the NBA is doing, because if you leave that bubble, you will be in quarantine when you get back. I don't care if you just stepped your pinky toe out of that bubble. You're gonna be, and that's what you have to do. I think he understands that. I think people got to understand that, is that when you step out of there, you come back in, you were outside with everybody else, with people that do have COVID. So you got to do everything possible to keep everybody safe. I respect the NBA for doing that. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can do an NFL or college football bubbles. So they're gonna have to really consider how they're gonna work that out, which will be further conversation. But I had my show today, weekend wrap up show. Make sure to go to BS3Radio.com. You can find all of the shows, everything that we drop. Also, the Saturday show is going to be coming back. For those of you that know, I used to do a Saturday show religiously, man, at like 1 o'clock. I didn't care what happened. I didn't care if we was out eating. I was like, I'm leaving at 12. I need to get home at 1. I don't care. I don't care what it is. So we're going to be bringing that back. It's going to be a late night edition. So for my night owls out there, we probably could be
appreciate you.
Probably could be 9 or 10. That'll be central. So it'll probably 9 to like 11, and then we'll have a late night edition. So I'm looking forward to
Saturday.
Yeah, back-to-back Saturday coming up. You got the afternoons. I got the late nights.
No, we got you covered, man. Now we get on each other's shows now for Saturday, so
definitely
back to back.
Definitely. Cool. So man, looking forward to it. We got new shows gonna be coming on. Erica Fernandez gonna be coming on real soon. Man, shout out to the Ear Hustling Podcast with James and Eric. Man, they doing so many diverse episodes of what they do. So it's great to have them. And if you want to join in as well, just reach out to any one of us. We would love to have you on BS3 Radio. Make sure to check out the merchandise. We got shirts, we got socks, we got pillows, we got whatever you need. We got cell phone cases, whatever you need, we got you. Shout out to T. Rice, says my show dedicated to volleyball is near 1,000 downloads on Spreaker. Man, shout out to you. I'm about to go download a couple of those for you, man. You're currently at 998. So I'm gonna go ahead and we all gonna go ahead and help you out right there.
Help them out.
Get you over that hump, man. Huge supporter, man. Every single show he is in there or he comes in there and says what's up. So we appreciate that. But you guys have, man, a good rest of your week. Man, make sure you love, hug, kiss your family, man. You just never know with everything going on, you know, when it's the last time. But Courtney,
thanks again. Great conversation. Love these. I love the top fives. Just to see different perspectives. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Stay safe, stay blessed.
Definitely. Al.
Shout out to everybody. Shout out to BS3 Radio family. Disrespect your senses. Definitely. And make sure to subscribe. Click that bell if you haven't already. Also, give us some ideas of some topics you want us to talk about, man. We got Mondays. Mondays is always on the calendar, so we're gonna be here regardless. So give us whatever ideas you have. We appreciate each and every one of you guys for your support. Have a good night. Have a good week. We will be back dropping episodes. BS3radio.com. Peace.